Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Good to have you here. All right, tell me about D'USSÉ. Did I pronounce it correct?
Yes, D'USSÉ. This is correct. We're really big on the branding. We're really big on making sure people pronunciate it correctly.
Yeah.
Also, spelling it correctly. So yeah, I noticed when I walked in, you guys had it spelled correctly. So that's sweet. Because that's a big thing. You know, you go to
100%.
You go to venues, hotels, bars, restaurants around the world, and they might have your, you know, D'USSÉ on their cocktail menu, but it might be spelled incorrectly, and you're like, hey, it's actually, you know, all caps, number one. Then you got the apostrophe and U-S-S-E, but the E has the accent mark. So that's like a main thing. And then also when we're like doing into marketing, we always make sure that it has like the Chateau de Cognac fronts on the, because sometimes people use the old logo, which is just a cross, but we want to make sure it's the whole, you guys got it right. So super grateful.
I'm glad. So tell me about, I'm not a cognac drinker. We're going to have a good tasting today.
Absolutely.
Tell me about cognac and then really just like the business of sort of bringing a brand to market. How do you do that?
I mean, Cognac, number one, it's to be a cognac, you have to be from Cognac, France.
Right.
That's number one. One thing that people don't know about cognac is that it's actually made from grapes. So it's pretty much an extension of a brandy. Mm-hmm. And we don't have a VS, we start at a VSOP. Okay. Which essentially means that you're aged for 4 years minimum. Mm-hmm. And then we also have an XO, which is 7 years, right? So we start already at 4 years, where when we market it, that's why we always tell people like, hey, we would like to be in elevated creative spaces because it's a luxury brand.
Right, right.
Like if it was something less than 4 years, we wouldn't be pushing so hard to be in a luxury high-end spaces. But that's one thing that we're super like sticklers on is it's about having it at high elevated spaces and also high elevated diverse spaces, you know.
What demographics around who drinks cognac? What does a typical cognac drinker look like? And then what markets do you want to grow?
Yeah, one thing that I found interesting as I first started working with the company was although it's made in Cognac, France, French people actually don't drink cognac that much.
Really?
They really don't. That's one thing I learned that I did not know.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So that's just something to know in general. But again, our demographics, because of the hip hop, it's definitely more of into the urban settings and the urban inner cities for sure. New York is definitely our biggest market. You know, it just outside of it just being a situation where people like to be in nightlife and bars doing whatever they see in hip hop videos. Yeah. The inner cities like New York, your Chicago's, Detroit, they're just it's a heavily influenced with cognac in general, right? And we're here to push the D'USSÉ into that realm of just superiority. People always people bring up our competitors, and they might have been around for hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. We're a 12-year brand. Wow! And when you're new, that's gonna make some people nervous. Yeah, you know what I mean, and that's okay. And it happens. Like, and that's one thing I stand by, that I don't mind doing the groundwork as a foot soldier for something that I believe in. You know? It's easy when you're been around for hundreds of years and to come on board. But I want you to be in the trenches with me in the beginning. Yeah. And then you can show me your true colors of who you are. Of course. So that's something I'm proud of.
The Asian market is big for you, right?
Yeah. The Japanese, first of all, with their whiskey and cognac, for sure. I haven't had the pleasure to go to the Asian market yet, but I do know that it's a big market, and I do know that they've been, the Japanese, especially with their style and their spirits involved into their lifestyle of just looking good, plays a big role into it for sure.
So how do you bring like great service? So this is call it quote unquote a newer brand. Mm-hmm. How do you bring it to market? How do you give sort of great service to the distributors, who what have you, and really push this out there?
I'm lucky that I have the Bacardi team here in Miami. I know Bacardi's headquartered here in Miami, but I'm super lucky that I got a great team around me to support me, from Mauricio to Blair, Tammy, Glenn, and Sherwin, like I mentioned earlier, Mosaza French, who's also our national ambassador here. We at Bacardi, how it works is, I'm the ambassador for Roc Nation, supporting D'USSÉ, but Bacardi, they really they make sure that we don't fall on our face. They give us
the
all
infrastructure.
The infrastructure, exactly. So when I go into these meetings at hotels, bars, restaurants, whatever, we're trying to get these new accounts. Yeah. I can talk all I want about how great this brand is, but at the end of the day, I know Bacardi are the people that actually help me close the deal. So they're very big on, like you mentioned, the customer service aspect about, it's not just a call. It's more so like, hey, we want to be face-to-face. Right. I always tell people I feel like I'm really good when I'm face-to-face with people, just because I need to feel the energy. It's one thing if I'm calling you or I'm texting you. it's just not tangible like how things were back in the day. I'm showing my age, you know, but it's just one of those things where it's like we feel not only from Roc Nation but also from the Bacardi, and if we can get you face to face, we feel like we can definitely deliver not just for the D'USSÉ and Cognac end, but also the other products that we carry from Bacardi. So customer service is super big. Most specifically, though, is getting face to face and.
So you worked for Roc Nation and then got into this brand. How did it work? And give me a little bit about your history about what was it like working at Roc Nation?
Yeah. So how it worked is, I moved to DC. 2009 after college. I went to UConn. Shout out to National Champs.
There you go, National Champs. Yeah, there you go.
That's what we do. Moved to DC and I started promoting happy hour under a gentleman named Benny Black. The GM, the venue was called The Park. It's still open, owned by Mark Barnes, who's just one of the biggest pioneers of nightlife in the States, period. But the GM of the Park was named Sherwin Robinson, who's currently the VP of marketing for Roc Nation. But we worked together for years. I was promoting for them and we always had a good relationship. And ironically, when the program was about to start, I was actually going to move to Barcelona. I applied to about like 12, 13 jobs, and I was like, man, I'm done with the States. I just want a new challenge, just want a fresh start. And I think God was like listening to me. No, I know God was listening to me because the next day, I spoke to Sherwin. He gave me, we talked a bit, and he was like, hey, I have something for you. And I just was like, it was almost as if God was like, hey,
you need to be.
We'll get you there.
Yeah, we'll get you there at some point.
I got something for you that I need your help on this. So, it happened like that, like literally overnight. And I mean, it's just been a blessing for me, truly. I always felt that, this is not me being cocky, but I always felt like I belonged anyway. Yeah. It was kind of like, what took you guys so long? But at the end of the day, to have the support of like a big brand like Roc Nation, because it's not just D'USSÉ, it's not just music. We also have Roc Nation Sports.
Yeah, huge agency
around the world. So it's definitely an honor to work with the brand and the team, and everyone's been super welcoming. That's one thing that's cool. Like I come from a very family-oriented background, and family's everything to me. And once I started, everyone was super welcoming. If I had questions, they had no problem answering them, and they just kind of welcomed me like with open arms. So it's been.
So what was your journey like, Roc Nation, all the way to taking on the new Cognac brand? How did you? What did you do? What roles, responsibilities? Because it must have been an awesome place to work, especially in the years. I mean now, but those years are fucking rocking, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, first of all, the first day on the job, they took me to the Beyonce concert.
That's a nice gig. I give these guys stationery and an Inktel shirt. Yeah, you go to Beyonce.
They took me to the Beyonce concert. I just was like, this can't be work. Am I getting paid for this? And so that was a cool little intro. But activations is key. My job, obviously, look, at the end of the day, activations is what I'm focused on, to activate and show people the D'USSÉ Cognac in a fun, high-end, spirited, diverse atmosphere. But at the end of the day, this is also a business, and it's also about selling cases, and it's also about moving product.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So that's the number one goal, is to sell the cases and move product. But my job is the lifestyle aspect of it. I'm, during the days, in the mornings, I run. I run. That's how I stay active. I like to have a healthy heart. As a lot of people know, I'm into fashion. I like looking good.
We're going to talk about that.
I've always liked looking good. And to now be backed by a high luxury branded cognac, it just adds to what I got going on. And also I DJ. So it's just hand in hand on what I'm doing in general. So
yeah, you're cool. I don't have any friends like you. Right. You're smooth. You're cool. My friends are nerds. Like I got to hang around you a little more.
False advertisement. You're good.
But so okay, I'm not a cognac drinker. How do most people drink cognac?
Okay, so two things. Like when I have people over at the house, intimate settings, I always just say, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to enjoy cognac, so you can actually fully enjoy it, because it's not something that you should just be taking shots of. Or cognac needs to be enjoyed smoothly, and I always say like increment amounts, right? And if you are enjoying it with a cocktail, I promise you, if you put our D'USSÉ VSOP cognac in any cocktail around the menu, if you just basically substitute it out for any other spirit, the cocktail that you finally make at the end product will be just as good, if not even better. That's like, I guarantee. From our D'USSÉ espresso martinis to our D'USSÉ lemonades, we have our D'USSÉ Coco Loco cocktails. Even obviously the D'USSÉ sidecar cocktail, which is super popular. That's just something that I tell people, like, well, later on when we actually do taste it out, I'll put a little bit for you so I tell people, like, first thing you're gonna do, the first drink of the day, what we call it, is you take the first sip, you rinse it around your mouth, right?
Okay.
Kind of like almost like mouthwash almost.
Yeah.
You swallow, right? That first instant obviously is gonna be a burning sensation because it's the first drink of the day.
Yeah.
So it's just opening all the sensations you got going on, right? Now, the second sip that you take it, we obviously let some seconds go by, have a conversation. The second sip though, once you take that, you're gonna realize that it's much more smoother. That's also where you're gonna taste the different flavors and ingredients that's in it. Because again, you might taste some grapes, you might taste some cocoa, you might taste some berries, and that's when you fully can enjoy what D'USSÉ has to offer. And again, at this high-end luxury, elevated spirit atmosphere, it's gonna sit very smoothly and nicely on your tongue.
Because when I see people drinking, you just look cool drinking it, right? Versus like I'm having a vodka soda, you know, a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a smooth, but is it more of you have one or two and then you move on to something, or you're drinking this all night? Like how do you see sort of the palate of these drinkers?
First of all, you're building your palate, number one. Kind of like, it's like wine. Because
it's like wine,
wine is made from grapes.
Correct.
So is cognac, right? So for me, when I first started drinking D'USSÉ, because this position that I'm in is not the first time I had it, so I was familiar with the product already. But it's, for me now that I've built my palate, I pretty much drink D'USSÉ all night, but obviously in different cocktails. Like D'USSÉ lemonade is my favorite go-to cocktail late night, right? Yeah. During the day, it'll be like D'USSÉ espresso martini, right? That's like my favorite thing. It's amazing. Nelson and I have had a few. Yeah, it's amazing, right? It's super dangerous, but smooth. So to answer your question, you can either sip it, cigar, chill, relax, or if you're late night going out for dinner, or even a cocktail after dinner, D'USSÉ lemonade or D'USSÉ Red Bulls. It's
D'USSÉ lemonade. All right.
It's super popular. It's super popular.
What does a bottle cost?
You're looking at $60, $65 depending.
That's not bad at all.
Not at all, for sure. And that's again, that's $60, $65 VSOP. You know
right.
We have competitors that have things out there that are VS, and you might see it for $55, $60. One thing that I can always tell when someone's not educated on cognac.
Right.
Because when I looked at a bottle menu, and you might have a VS on the bottle menu that has, for the same price as our VSOP, that already tells me, okay, you're just not aware. Right. You just don't know. Or it could also mean that they maybe just moving that product have enough that they can afford to sell it at that price. But it's like, people need to be educated on the simple fact that we started a VSOP that's already in a luxury high-ended space, and that's what it is.
So, been in business 12 years. What type of market share do you guys have?
As far as
like single digit, or compared to the big brands, are you still on the smaller side, or you're competing? You're in the top 4 or 5 cognacs.
Truthfully, I don't know that.
Okay,
answer.
that's okay.
Truthfully, I don't know the answer, but I do know that we are a 12-year brand. I do know that we have a castle right next to one of our main competitors in Cognac, France.
Good.
Which hopefully I'm looking forward to visiting this summer, hopefully, or next year for the first time. So that I don't know the answer, but I do know that we're here and we're up and coming. And I think we're here to stay. Good
stuff. Fashion's a passion of yours. Where does that come from?
I'm half Cape Verdean and half Senegalese.
Okay.
Cape Verde gave me my foundation, and Senegal gave me my flyness.
All right. That's where the Portuguese come from, man.
Yeah, like Senegalese people were very. We care about how we look, how we smell, how we carry ourselves, our aura.
Yeah.
In Senegal, the trash guy that's taking out the trash could be in a suit.
Looks smooth, right? Yeah.
I wish I was making this up. That's literally how it is.
Yeah.
So that it's not only in my blood, but I grew up watching my mom, my grandmother, how long they took to get ready to go out to outings, and they were always hosting people at the house for parties at the house when I was a kid. So it was kind of like a no-brainer when I became a promoter. My mom was so upset with me, and I'm just like, Mom, all I did was watch you host parties. What are you talking about? Like you brought this upon yourself.
Yeah, it's in our blood, man.
This is nothing new to the family, right? Yeah. So to the fashion, definitely, I've always loved fashion just from seeing the foundation was from my mom and my grandmother.
Yeah.
But then also just growing up watching different films. The Talented Mr. Ripley is one of my favorite all-time films. Jude Law, just for me.
They have a new series on Netflix. I just started watching it.
Exactly. This is true. I just started watching it as well.
Yeah.
Just all Italian fashion.
Yeah, man.
Pleated trousers.
All right, two or three fashion tips, specifically for a guy like me. I'm middle-aged.
Yeah.
What are 2 or 3 fashion tips that you would give to somebody?
Number one, most guys, we have it easy because
we got it easy.
We have it easy, man. Compared to the women, like you can have a whole new wardrobe with like literally 12 items.
Right.
Literally. Like most guys don't know that. You can have 3 different pair of trousers, 3 different jackets, 4 different shirts, crew neck shirts, whatever, 2 different pair of shoes, and I could probably show you how to style it 30, 40 different ways, you know? And even sometimes when I go out, I might be wearing the same exact thing I wore the day before, but I might this time just have a scarf on. It just looks completely different from what it is, right? So it just depends. I mean, I always tell people, when I'm like advising clients, I always let them know like, hey, middle-aged guys, you kind of want to like speed food them. You kind of want to like spoon feed them a little bit. You don't want to go too crazy. You kind of want to like, give them a little by little. So it's kind of like, hey, you like to wear polos? All right, cool. Let me show you how to rock a polo underneath this jacket. And maybe the jacket is zipped up like this. Maybe the cuffs are unbuttoned. Maybe you pop the collar a little bit, give it a little bit more flair, more swag. Just because these guys, you know, they know how to. They just need assistance on how to like look good what they're not used to, and it's just a comfort zone. So it's just getting out of that comfort zone.
A little polish.
And every time in life, I don't know about you, but every time in life when I'm like not feeling like, it's kind of like sometimes when I DJ, I'll be like, man, I didn't really do well today. But I'll be the same night that everyone's like, yo, you killed it. Or the same time I'm like, man, I don't really feel fresh today, but everyone will see and be like, man, you look great, bro. And I'm just like, really? So it's just kind of exposing them to get out of their comfort zone, because we all know, like, when you're in your comfort zone, that's an easy thing to just stay there.
Yeah, sure.
So that's what I always advise. Like, start small, spoon feed them.
All right, so clothes are getting tighter, guys are wearing tighter. What's the right amount of tightness, or what's the right amount of looseness? Because I've seen some guys, hey, look, like everyone's tightened up a little bit. And then now it seems like guys are super tight. Like what's the right amount of tightness? So
to be honest with you, things are actually getting more relaxed now. So
I've seen with women the jeans. Like,
so fashion in general is recyclable. It's just a round. It's just going over and over. So now, even what I'm wearing today with flare jeans, I would never be wearing flare baggy jeans the way I am like I was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was wearing more skinny jeans, right? So fashion is just a recycling cycle, right? So I'm not necessarily looking for high-end fashion brands anymore. Right? I'm looking for more quality. I mean, as I sit here wearing Gucci glasses, right?
You're dripping with fashion brands.
But when it comes to clothing, I'm more big on the fabric. That's what I care about the most.
The fabric,
Because for me, I'm more like, hey, what kind of fabric is this? Is it a wool silk linen? Is it wool? Is it silk? Is it cashmere? Because those are the luxury fibers that I want to feel on my body. You know?
So you're not going to H&M?
No, I'm not going to H&M. But although there's nothing wrong with it, that's where I started. I was an Express H&M guy all day in college. And I was the flyest, right? Like, by far. But as I got my pennies together, I was able to go to the next step and the next step and the next step. So
you have a partnership with Suitsupply.
Correct.
Give me fashion tips on suits. Fall, spring, summer. What should I do?
So a couple things. When I'm advising clients, I always let them know, like, hey, it's summer. We live in South Florida. You want light fabrics. So if people always hear wool, they think, oh, that's for winter. But people don't necessarily understand and know that there's something called tropical wool, where it's a more lighter fabric, right? There's also wool silk linens that are light. There's also silk suits that are light. So if you're looking for like a spring, summer fabrics, I would stick to those. Obviously, let's say you live here in South Florida, but let's say you had a meeting in the middle of the winter in Michigan or New York, whatever. You might want to wear a little bit more of like a heavier wool to keep you warm, or even like we have like tweed fabrics that we also have fabrics that are more twill fabrics that are more heavier for the winter. So that way, when you go there, you feel a little bit more snug. Cashmere as well, right? To keep you warm. Alpaca as well. So again, that goes back to my conversation about fabrics. That's big because you need to know these things so that way you know what to prepare yourself for when you're traveling, right? So at Suitsupply, I'm one of their style advisors. When I started working there, I thought I knew something about suits, and I realized I had no idea. So I learned a lot within the last 2 years that I've been working with them. The manager here at the Miami Brickell store, Nikki, she's super awesome. Always just super knowledgeable, knows the business. Even one of our directors, Carolina, and then obviously we're led by our CEO, Fokke de Jong, and we're a Dutch brand. We're from our first store was in Amsterdam, Holland.
It's a great store.
Yeah, so we have stores around the world, literally like around the world. I even visited our store in Bogota, Colombia. So definitely have stores around the world, and like I mentioned to you earlier, I always tie in fashion, lifestyle, DJing into what I do. So when I give people my business card, I always let them know, hey, they're like, hey, what's your position in life? And I always say, I'm a lifestyle specialist. Because for me, I'm not a promoter. To me, I'm not just a DJ. To me, I'm not just a stylist. I'm just the guy that is promoting a lifestyle. So with Suitsupply, I'm lucky to work for Suitsupply. I'm blessed to work with them because I'm not only backed by a great team, but I'm also able to learn the new up and coming fashion trends.
Yeah.
Last year, for example, when when people were wearing suits, there was a lot of cuffs on the trouser. There was a lot of pleated trousers. And now this year, even last year, there was a lot of side adjusters, side adjusters are tabs on the side where there's basically the trouser has no belts.
Okay.
There's no belt loops. But now this year, fashion, it being recyclable, it being like just going on in circles, belt loops are actually back. Flat fronts are back. There's no more cuffs on the hem of the trousers, right? Things are a bit more high-waisted. Things are a bit more relaxed as well. So now my style when I throw a suit on is, if you look at my suit from last year, what I wear now is completely different. And that's just going to be a continued trend of how things will go, right? So I add that on to what I have going on with D'USSÉ VSOP. About 2 months ago, actually, I had an activation at Suitsupply Miami Brickell, and we released our Suitsupply was launching the spring summer collection, and I spoke to our manager Nikki, and I said, hey, I would love to have D'USSÉ be a sponsor, and so we were able to bring in our D'USSÉ bar. We featured three D'USSÉ cocktails. We invited Suitsupply and myself. We invited all of our important clients. All of our clients that we wanted to at least reveal to them at first the new launch, the new collection. And then I also invited people from the D'USSÉ and Bacardi's, and it was just a beautiful, I'm not gonna say it was a party, but it was a high-spirited, elevated shopping experience.
You're an interesting guy. I just realized that when talking to you. You are like the talented Mr. Ripley, as you said.
That's my movie, man.
All right, now what's on your Spotify list? Like if I picked up your phone right now and I wanted to play on your Spotify, what's on it?
I'm a piano is big right now for me.
Okay.
I'm a piano, Afro beats. I just like music that's when I DJ, I call my music passport music. So it's like I'm giving you a global tour around the world. So if you're not familiar with traveling, you're gonna enjoy yourself, but maybe not for the whole set. Yeah. But I like to expose people because for me, it's like, I'm always big on like exposure and getting people out of their comfort zone, because vulnerability to me is like, that's when your truest self. So I always tell people like, yeah, it's fine. I can play hip hop. I can do the old school hip hop. I can do reggaeton here in Miami. Everyone loves it. But I want to expose you to music from my country. I want to expose you to Afro house. I want to expose you to Amapiano, to some zouk, some passata. This is music from my country, my culture. You know what I mean? This is why I call it passport music, because it's like, it's not only about getting stamps in your passport. It's also about actually inversing yourself into the culture, basically. Yeah. So yeah, Spotify, my stuff would definitely be a lot of Afro beats. I'm a piano. Obviously, I'm still hip to what's going on today with the whole Drake and Kendrick beef. But
I don't even understand it. Yeah, I just understand
marketing.
it via memes.
It's marketing, man.
It's totally marketing.
These guys got too much money.
They're bored. And a lot of free time. Yeah. All right, you're the curator of Cool. Give me the top 3 spots that you hang out in Miami.
For me, top 3 spots, I will go with Mangrove. Shout out to my guy Max Pierre, legend. Definitely, I got to go with Saxony, inside Faena living room. Yeah. A good friend I was introduced to, Alicia. She always shows love every time I go there. And then Soul House, of course. That's just a local. Everyone knows Soul House. Yeah. And obviously, shout out to Sam Bebe, new spot, but. Definitely gave me New York feels and vibes when I went in there. I had dinner there a couple weeks ago. Fantastic service, food as well. Miami's popping right now. Miami's definitely popping right now. It's I'm excited to see where it's going to be in 5-10 years, but it's definitely popping right now, especially with all the people coming from, people like myself that moved here from, I moved here from DC, people coming from LA, New York, Chicago, everybody, so on and so forth. So interested to see where it's going to go.
All right, my man. Anything else? Do you have events coming up? Where can people find out about the brand?
Yeah. So actually next week we have our big Roc Nation D'USSÉ Summit. All the ambassadors will be here. Different execs from New York, LA will be in town as well. We'll be here working alongside the Bacardi reps. So we're gonna be here for a big summit, getting educated on the D'USSÉ and what we have, what's expected of us, and what we have for the public for the future. And yeah, you can find D'USSÉ VSOP at any retail liquor store. It'll be there $60-65 for the most part. Perfect. I have a couple different events happening in May that I'll be focused on. I'm actually DJing at Baby Jane this Friday, actually, and I'm going to be doing like a little D'USSÉ activation there, so that should be fun. Just get people, just to DJ, get out there.
And follow you on IG, because you got a lot of followers, you're very active, you have a cool IG page.
Yeah, man, thank you, number one. Funny thing about my Instagram, my name actually used to just be my Instagram name. It should just be C Mbengue. My last name's Mbengue, right? And obviously C for Cheick. And then one day, I don't even know how this happened. This literally was like Neo in the Matrix when he's getting plugged up for new programming. I just woke up one day and I literally said, check me out. And ever since then,
it's the coolest thing.
It's been my Instagram. This is a true story. Like, I'm not making this up. This is like 2009, 2010. But my Instagram at check me out, CHEICKMEOUT. Yeah, shout out to D'USSÉ.
All right, I'll check me out. That bottle's talking to me. Maybe you're going to convert me into a cognac drinker.
We're going to start slow.
We're going to start slow.
You got to take these things in steps. What's up, everybody? It's your boy DJ Cheick Me Out. You're rocking with Roc Nation, D'USSÉ VSOP. Shout out to Inktail. We're gonna do a little tasting here, and I'm gonna pour some here, and we're gonna have some fun. Thanks for having me. Cheers. So again, it's
nice.
We're gonna take our first sip of the day.
Okay.
And I'm gonna teach you how to do this, so that way we do it together. I know it's early in the morning, but hey, it's happy hour somewhere.
Workday's gonna go smooth.
Okay. So salud.
Hey,
cheers.
salud. Cheers.
Absolutely. So we're gonna take your first good sip, right? Well, before you sip it, you wash it around your mouth.
Okay.
And then swallow, right?
All right.
So we'll do it together.
Okay.
So obviously you feel the burning sensation.
Yeah.
All the flavors going around your mouth, right? Even right now you're probably salivating a lot. Everything's coming out, right?
Yeah.
So this is our first sip of the day. Just more so to open your palate, so that way not only your mind, but also your mouth is adjusting to what you're enjoying, what you're about to enjoy.
Right.
So I always tell people, like, the first sip is always a bit harsh, and that's how it is when you're out. Everyone's like, "Oh, I don't like cognac; it's too strong," and it's just like, I mean, you're taking it straight. That's not how you're supposed to. You're taking the first shot, and you're just not enjoying the rest of it. That's not how you do it. Now that we have our palate a bit open, we're gonna take our second sip, and I promise you, this one now will be much smoother than the first one.
But I'm just drinking this one. I'm not...
No, this one just sip.
Okay.
Just sip, yeah. So now, much more smoother.
Ooh, yeah, totally, man.
That's just what it is. So, anytime you're dealing with any high-end luxury spirit, in particular in this case, D'USSÉ VSOP, I always tell, when you're enjoying our stuff, if you do those two things right there, you'll enjoy it smoothly. And then before I leave, I'll make sure I give you guys like a list of different cocktail ingredients you guys can mix up. And definitely when I have events, I'll invite you guys out too.
Heavy women drink it or men?
Believe it or not, more women are drinking it than men.
Really?
Absolutely. Because once you convert them, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
I'm telling you, these D'USSÉ espresso martinis, it's a problem.
They love it.
It's a serious problem. One day I went through like 2 bottles at Soul House one day, Nelson and I, and it was an interesting evening. A time was had.
A time was had. Well, this is great, man. I think you might have converted me.
Cheers. Number one, thanks for having me, man, because this has been a great experience. You didn't have to do that. You took time out of your day to meet with me, so I'm super grateful. We're all grateful here from Roc Nation, D'USSÉ VSOP, Bacardi, so I want to say thank you. With that being said, I actually brought you a little gift here.
Oh, nice, man. Thank you so much. This is so cool.
You have your
Look
own
at this
personal bottle now.
Look at that.
You know, obviously we care about our branding. And yeah, this is just a gift from all of us to you, and we wish you all the success in your endeavors.
Cool, man. You converted me, dude.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, brother.
Thank you.
Cheers.